What's up, Camp Broadside? I'm your host, Troy Mosby. Hey, we're honored to have Mr. David Ward from Wards Whitetails joining us tonight. We're going to talk about a 187-inch buck, and we're going to talk about a 34-point buck. You got to see this one. So without further ado, help me give a big old Camp Broadside welcome to Mr. David Ward.
Troy's talking about the 10-point miss. Swears it was close, but it don't sound like it. Brandon's grinning, bragging about his doe. Bartlett's spike, well, we all know it's blood trails and bucktails. Round the fire where the whiskey sails. Every hunt's a story, every shot's a chance. What's your story to tell? What's your...
I'm telling you, that shit was the craziest thing I ever seen.
David Ward, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Hey, I really appreciate you coming on, man. I've been looking forward to this ever since I met you at the Show Me Whitetails.
Yeah, that was a good show, yeah.
Yeah, I seen all them massive sheds and racks, and man, I don't know how you do it. You had a ton of them.
Yeah, I was hard after them for a long time. I had a lot of employees on my best years, and of course, spent a lot of days out shed hunting. And one of the guys were at work, so.
Yeah, well, you found them for sure. Were they? Was it a mixture of private, public?
No, I would say mostly private. You know, there's my wife lives in the town we live in, and her family's lived there her entire life, and so as I came through the Bonner Springs area, that's where I lived. It opened the opportunity opened the chances to shed hunt in many different places in and around Bonner Springs and South Overland Park and down in that area.
Gotcha. Well, before we dive off into it, why don't we just introduce yourself and kind of tell us how you got into hunting, how you got into finding all them sheds, and we'll just go from there and see where it takes us, man.
All right. My name's Dave Ward, and we have Wards Whitetails. Wards Whitetails started off as just an email address, and of course, I was a deer hunter, and I started off with the Wards Whitetails email address, and eventually it turned into the name of what we do, and so. I guess back in the beginning, I started off, my dad was a coon hunter. And so I grew up with a coon hunting background, and it wasn't just a coon hunting background. My dad was a competitor. My dad, he lived for it just like I live to deer hunt now. And so we traveled as a young child. We traveled all across the country coon hunting, going from place to place, competing against these other people and their dogs. And that's kind of how I got into the hunting. And then we moved to Kansas, and I was the first deer hunter in my family. I decided to try to do some. I went by Shawnee Mission Park, and there was an archery range there. So it wasn't long. I bought me a bow, and I was out there shooting. And that's
how old was you then?
Oh, I don't know, probably 18, give or take. I'd shot some deer before that, but it wasn't. I don't know. That was just a hunting thing where we would go hunting, and but the actually getting attached to it came later.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and of course, then I shot my first big buck, and I was hooked since then.
Yeah.
I did shoot my first big one, but before that, I found his sheds. So it kind of started just before that, and then eventually I shot him, and then since then I've been a trophy deer hunter, and just been hard after it ever since.
Man, you've been killing it for sure.
I've worked it hard. There was times where I'd hunt 5 or 6 days a week. I would get off work hard, start early, work hard all day long just to get out for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And go out for a couple hours. I used to hunt the spots that I called the sure things, and I would sit back and watch the deer time after time and find out where my sure thing was at. Mm-hmm. And I would jump in there and set it, for a couple hours just about every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was hard after. That was, of course, my first wife, and I ended up getting divorced because she said all I ever did was work and hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that was that.
I'm pretty sure your current wife likes to.
My wife's a killer too. Yeah, she is. She might. You might not know it
yet, but she's gonna be next on here.
Cool. She'd be more than happy. My wife and I do a lot of traveling and just going all across the country. She's a hunter. She has taken elk. She's taken some nice whitetails and passed up some really nice whitetails. This thing about living in a house with the trophies on the wall. Sets the standard, and of course she hasn't been shooting small bucks. She's been holding off for a big one, and she shot some nice bucks.
Yeah. So what's the biggest buck you've ever shot?
Well, my biggest typical is going to gross 187. He's an 11 pointer. He grosses 187 and netted 171 and 3/8. And that was my biggest typical, and that was the first big buck.
Okay.
That's the one that it's basically started it all. the addiction, so to
Yeah.
speak. And then, you know, I've shot a lot of really nice ones after that, but eventually I shot the 34 pointer.
That's the one, boy. I tell you what, I walked by y'all's place there at the show, and that's the first one that grabbed me, and I was
Yeah,
like, my goodness, man.
He's unique. He's you know, if you were looking the record books, I think there's only one other buck that comes close to what he is. He's a typical 9-pointer, with the rest of it being non-typical.
Got you.
And all the non-typical points come out below the brow, which is very rare.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no non-typical points above the brow tines. So
Yeah,
like I said,
that's-
he's very rare.
Yeah. So do you want to lead off into that story, or how that buck come about, or is there another one you want to talk about first?
No, that the 34 pointer is a good place to start. You know, I was hunting with a friend that day, and it was I wish I had looked at the date. I didn't pick up the date before I started, but it was in November.
Okay.
And it was a drizzling, cold, rainy day. All right, so we decided we were going to hit this woodlot, and
You're bow hunting.
yeah, and we were rattling. See, I had my friend Bob McClaskey, who was taught me how to rattle because I never did that before. I met Bob, and then once he taught me, we called it the McClaskey rattle, to where we would move around the woods, like on a rainy day, silent, moving slow, and rattle and rattle and rattle, and we did it all day long. Probably seen 15 good bucks. A couple of them were shooters that just didn't pan out at the moment. That's rattling. But I remember I had the antlers in my hand and had a big 10-pointer run right up front of me, no farther than the camera. But it all happened so fast I couldn't even do anything.
Yeah.
And he looked right at me and just turned and bolted off.
Yeah.
That was just a few hours before I ended up shooting the one.
So you guys you'd be in a spot, you'd rattle.
So we had 4 antlers on us. He had a set, I had a set. And we would start off with him rattling. And he would we'd separate, and he would rattle. And a few minutes later, we would be quiet. We'd let that go for a little while. Then I would rattle. And we just kept doing that over and over. And then we're out of spot in 30, 40 minutes and move to the next spot.
Okay. So
which we may only move, 15, 20 yards, 30 yards, and
Right.
start over again.
Yeah.
But we did that all day long, and it was just it was a great day, one of those magical days in the woods. We were having does running up. It was just one of those magical days where it was bound to happen.
Heck yeah.
So the rain was picking up, and it was getting late in the day, and we decided we were soaking wet, so it was getting late and time to go. So I said, "You want to rattle one more time?" So we split up. We just sat there. We just were laying on the ground and had some drinks and stuff, and decided, "You want to rattle one more time?" And so we split up, and he started rattling, and just a few minutes later, and it all happened so fast that the story happened so quick. So he started rattling, and no more than he started rattling, I seen the buck trot up like silent, like made no noise at all, and he wasn't looking at me at all. He had his head up high, and he was looking right over at my friend, and I made a beautiful 40-yard shot on him.
Oh yeah.
Broadside. Had no
there.
idea I was even there.
Yeah, baby.
And of course, right as soon as my arrow hit, it was a beautiful shot. He ran just a short distance and out of sight. So my friend comes up, "Did you get one?" Because he heard the commotion. He said, "Did you get one?" I said, "Dude, I think I shot the non-typical," because I really had no idea at the time. It happened so quick.
Yeah.
And,
now you had a few years experience with him, right?
With the deer, yes,
yeah.
yeah, sure. I found his antlers back when he was probably a year and a half old.
Okay.
I remember the exact spot. Their antlers were laying nearly side by side, and it's amazing how even back then he had some non-typical growing, but his typical frame is almost identical to his adult frame, and that had to be 6 or 7 years prior to me shooting him.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was out there for a long time. Yeah, and I'd only seen him twice. Two times.
Kidding.
Yeah, the whole time I've been there, I only saw him twice. I was coming home from fishing one day, and of course, being an addicted deer hunter, I decided to drive by the bean field, and see if there's any deer out there.
Yeah.
And as I drove by, I saw some deer out in the distance, but I didn't have any binoculars. I was fishing, and but I could see something curling over on his left side, and so I really couldn't. But after it was all done and said, and I shot him, man, that was the buck I saw.
That was the buck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you shot him, and your buddy come over, and you said, "I think I shot him."
Yeah.
And then, so what happened then?
He didn't go very far. He only went about 40 yards, but he disappeared into the woods. And so he ran up into the woods, and we blood trailing for just a short distance, and then we saw him in the distance. And of course, the amazing feeling of pulling this thing up off the ground.
Oh my God.
And
I
all
can
the
only
points going everywhere, and
imagine.
you're trying to count them, and the confusion and just the excitement. You just want to sit down and say, "Wow."
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
dude.
it was really cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What a story, man. And like I said, when I seen him at the show that day, I was just like, my goodness, I hadn't seen nothing like that. That was
Yeah.
insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's rare. I've always wanted a big non-typical, but I was in my mind when I pictured a non-typical, I always pictured the buck of my dream would be a big wide buck, big typical with a bunch of non-typical points in there.
Yeah.
So I never thought I'd ever shoot a buck with, like that with all the points coming out below the brow. But yeah, he's really cool. He's a one of a kind.
Yeah, that's for sure. This past season, I was telling my oldest son, I was like, man, I've shot some nice bucks in my life. I said, but I've never even seen like a drop tine or anything like that out in the woods. The very next day, I shot a drop tine. I was like, oh my God, I was
no
so
doubt.
excited. That was such a blessing to me.
I
or
remember
whatever.
I remember one time I was telling my friend Chip Pickett, we were talking about shed online. I was like, I never find any 6-point sheds. And not long after that, I got into that 12-pointer. He was laying on my table that day too. And I got into that 12-pointer and found him like 3 years straight. And so I have 6-point, 6-point, 6-point. And of course, I did that same conversation with him that just the year before I started finding those, that I never find a 6-pointer. I've always found a lot of 5s, not 4s, but been the 6s were eluding me until I came across that one.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. Now, I know you got another one you want to talk about. You got that one that you shot with your brother, I think it was.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like that one means a lot to you.
It does. Like I said, it was the first big buck.
Okay.
All right. And it all started, my brother and I worked together back then. All right. And of course, we started finding sheds together. We hunted together. We would go to Colorado and spend a lot of time together hunting. It was my brother. It's what we did.
Yeah.
And so we started finding these big sheds. All right. And pretty soon my brother's like, yeah, I know. He comes across the road into the bean field all the time. And so my brother and I went out there one day carrying buckets and sat down in the bean fields with the beans up to our noses. And they're like 5 bucks came across the road, and he was in that bunch. And so that was the first time I'd ever seen that buck. And, he was just a giant. He was still in velvet, and in velvet he even looked bigger. So he looked massive. And, his antlers back then were in the 78 to 80 range. Mm-hmm. And so he was still a giant looking buck at that time. But that was my first glimpse of him. So it was my brother's hunting spot. So I really had no permission to be there at the time. So one day my brother says, hey, you want to come go hunting with me? Let's go. I'm like, well, we've got to work. Well, let's go hunting for a few hours. And when we get done, we'll go to work. And all right, so let's do that. So he invited me to go. And so my brother had permission at, it was Tom Watson's property. Tom Watson, South Overland Park. Yeah. And this is long before Tom actually lived there.
Yeah.
And my brother was a friend with the caretaker. All right. So my brother's like, you're not supposed to be here. So I'm going to drop you off here. And the caretaker allows me to go, and I'll go talk to him about it. You could just go hunting in here if you want to. So he dropped me off, and I went out there, and I set up a tree. I hunted off a tree seat on the very first time I saw this buck. And I put it on this hillside. It was still dark in the morning, and I walked into the woods. I've shedded on it, but never hunted it. Okay. So I walked into the woods and set up my tree seat on the ground, on a hill, kind of ramping to the south. And as I'm sitting there, the sun's coming up, and I decided it was cold, windy day, so I put my coat up over my face, and I fell asleep. Mm-hmm. All right. So as I wake up, and of course I used to do that a lot, apparently, because a lot of my stories have fallen asleep in it.
Hey, I feel your pain because I do that a lot.
Especially in the cold. You get that up there and just like
get all warm and cozy.
Yep. So anyways, I open up my eyes, and there's a doe standing out in front of me, and on the top of the hillside, and there's a buck following her. And I noticed that it was a big buck. So again, I'm sitting on the ground. I blew a grunt call, and immediately I seen his head look my way and just walk straight at me. He walked straight at me all the way up until he was like 5 yards away.
Wow. How far was he when you first seen him?
Oh, probably maybe about 50.
Okay.
He was up at the top of the hill, but he just turned and came straight at me. So as he's walking to me, I couldn't move. He was just, couldn't do anything but freeze. And as he walked up, it felt like he was standing like right in front of me.
Breathing on you.
I could see I could feel his eyes as he looked right through me.
Yeah.
I was wearing Predator camouflage at the time and just loved it. And anyway, every time he'd turn his head, I would try to get a little bit. And eventually, after doing that for just what felt like eternity, he saw me moving and was gone.
Gone.
Yeah, it was miserable.
Wow.
So I left the woods that day.
He wouldn't have been gone if you'd have been wearing broadside camo.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I used to love Predator camouflage.
Yeah,
and
I know people
it
that
was
did
good
for
stuff
sure.
back in the day. And so anyway, the buck ran off, and I've been up with my brother, and when he asked me, did you see anything? I said, no.
You couldn't tell him.
Nope, I didn't see anything. Because, my brother, if I'd have saw him, he'd have put a tree stand right there where I was hunting.
Facts.
Or
That was some
wouldn't have
good
taken
thinking.
me no more.
Good thinking.
And anyway, so here we go to work, and we went to work, and it was all a good day. And so the spot that I chose, the wind had to be out of the north. And if it wasn't, there was nowhere to hunt. So, out of the south. So I waited, and 2 weeks later, the wind, and his spot was that way too. So the wind changed, and you want to go hunting again? And yes, I do. So this time I took a tree stand.
Did you have to try not to act excited, and you were just kind of like,
I
let's
did.
go, I guess.
I never told him. To this day, I've never told
You've
him.
never told him.
Yeah. So,
Well, you might
never
have
know.
just told him.
And it's all good. I like to think we've gotten over that part by now, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Were you about to find out?
2 weeks later, the wind's right. My brother says the wind's going to be right tomorrow. You want to go with me again? I'm like, hell yeah, I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
So this time I brought a tree stand, and I again walked out in the dark, really early, maybe 2 hours before the sun came up.
Yeah.
And I put this tree stand up in the dark. And
Are you in the same spot?
close?
Close to it.
Yeah. I put the tree stand up to a point where I could touch the bottom of my tree stand with my hands, because I was doing it in the dark and just real quick, and so I did a lot of hunting off the ground. So this is enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the hill kind of ramped up in front of me as away
Got
from
you
the tree
even a
stand.
little higher.
So the sun's coming up again. I'm falling asleep in my tree stand, but this time when I wake up, there's a doe again standing right directly in front of me, no more than 20 yards away. All right, and so this is the view I have when I'm setting my tree stand. There's a doe, she's about 20 yards away, and a tree, before I was there, of course, had fell and brought a little tree over with it and made an arch. All right, so there's bent over tree directly in front of me. And just a few seconds later, I hear this grunt that sounded like a roar, like one of the loudest grunts I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
And this buck comes running down in there and runs and stops right where she was. And she runs right through the arch and out the other side. I don't even know where she went. I never got to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And so my focus was on him. And just a split second later, he did it again right in front of me. And as he's standing in front of me, I could smell him. The wind was so perfect, I could smell him. And he had a big puncture wound in the side of his head, so I could see the blood running down his neck.
So it was
There was a
real
lot of
fresh.
blood. Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, that had to be that night.
Yeah.
And it went all the way down to his chest, bright red blood, and I could see him, and I could see him standing there. I could smell him. It was so close. So it was very exciting.
I
So
can imagine.
this next time he grunted and ran even more. This time he stopped right there in the arch, and I drew my bow and shot him at 7
and
yards.
he's in the arch.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool, man.
I shot him right there at 7 yards. And so this is what happened. I was using a Wasp broadhead back then. All right. So, and it's kind of a weird story and just terrible. Who knew this would happen this way? But the arrow went through both shoulders, and the veins were still sticking out one side, and the arrow, of course, was sticking out the other side. And he ran off. And while I'm in my tree stand still, I hadn't yet fallen out. I'm jumping up and down like I was so excited. It was amazing. And as he runs off and I'm finally calming down, I hear a horn honk in the distance. And I don't know why. And I didn't put two and two together until after this all was over. But I heard a horn honk in the distance. And I'm on a ridge, and I know the ridge goes straight towards the road if you keep going. And so I'm on this ridge, and I hear the horn honk. I gave him time I stood up there for as long as I could stand it. I could see my arrow where it broke off on the ground. So I get down, I check out my arrow, everything looked perfect. I start looking around for blood. I couldn't find any blood. Not even right there.
Isn't that the worst feeling?
Oh, it is. It truly is.
Yeah.
So I searched and searched in my immediate area and came up with nothing. The one part of the arrow is all I got. All right. So I waited. My brother and I caught back up together, and I get in the. We had to go to work, so I get back in the vehicle and.
Oh no! You just shot this buck.
Well, this
Now you gotta go to work.
yeah, and so I get back in the car and we're heading down there, and he's like, "You see anything?" I said, "Yeah, I shot one." And he said, "What? Tell me about it." I'm like, "Well, I'm pretty sure I shot the shed monster, because that's what we called him back then, was the shed monster." Taxidermist came up with that idea. So I told him I'm pretty sure I shot the shed monster, and looking him in the face, he just went sour.
Oh no!
Oh, it was so bad that you could just see it.
He was not digging this.
So we went to work, didn't talk a whole lot. Of course, I was all amped up and told him my story and told him how amazing it was and all. And it was just nonstop all day long, I'm sure. And
he's probably hating
finished-
you on the inside.
we finished our work, and I asked him, "You want to go back and help me find my buck?" He said, "No, I think I'm going to go hunting." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So at the time, I called my taxidermist. I don't know if you met him. He was there at the show
Who's
me.
it?
Don Colloway.
Man, I think I did meet him.
Yeah, he was
actually.
there. He hung out pretty much all day on one of the days.
Yeah.
And so I called Don and said, "Hey, I shot this big buck. I shot the shed monster. Do you want to come help me find him?" And he's like, his car stopped outside my house. He was already there.
Yeah.
He drove from Grandview to Overland Park to come help me. And so he and I went back out there. I showed him the spot. We looked for blood, never found anything. But I know the buck ran that way. I could see it. I seen him run for quite a ways.
Yeah.
So we followed all that, and still nothing at all. So I said, I remember hearing a car honk its horn. So let me walk up there and check the road to see if maybe it jumped a fence and left some blood on the fence line, or who knows what.
Yeah.
So I get up there, and I'm looking around on the side of the fence on one side of the road, and there was nothing at all. So I'm getting upset and disappointed at this time.
How far away are you
This is
from
about
where you shot him at this
Maybe
point?
400 yards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe 450. It was a long ways.
Yeah.
And he took off at a hard run.
Yeah.
Like as fast as he could go, as far as I could see him, he was just gone.
Yeah.
And I go to the other side of the road, and I'm looking for blood on the trail. And of course, you could clearly see where the deer cross. And I just happened to look out there in the distance, and no more than 40 yards off the side of the road, he was laying right there.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, it was
so somebody
amazing.
probably honked because he come up on the road?
I think he was standing in the road, and they honked a horn, and he spooked him off.
Yeah. Wow.
So then, of course, that's my. I
Hey,
believe
but
that
thank God
since.
you remembered that you thought
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that horn honking.
So, I said, "Don, I found something." So I went over. I didn't tell him at the time, and of course, Don, being the way he is, of course, he's quite a bit younger. So was I back then. And as he walked up, I pulled him up out of the grass, and like a linebacker, Don just tackled me right there.
Oh, I
He was
bet,
more
dude.
excited
What
than
a
I
moment.
was. But yeah, you got him. Don's a really loud, and it was just an amazing time there too. We eventually took that buck to Don's house, and we weighed him. We field dressed him in the yard, and weighed him, and he field dressed 298 pounds.
Good Lord, what
And
a hoss.
where we field dressed him in Don's yard, the grass turned green for like maybe a 15-foot circle around that spot, and it stayed that way for like 3 years
Wow.
afterwards.
What a big...
Just little memories, yeah.
Yeah, he's a giant, man.
Yeah, he sure was. And of course, he was a local legend. Everyone in the area knew of this big buck. And see, I used to go door to door looking for sheds. Yeah, where I'd see if anyone had some or wanted to buy them, and of course I wanted to buy them. And I went to a guy's house and I showed him my picture, and he recognized him immediately. That's that buck from up the road, isn't it? Yeah, it sure is.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a story. So how did it play out with your brother?
That was been many, many years ago, well over 20 years, and I haven't been hunting with my brother since.
Oh, no.
I shot an elk with him. I've been on many elk hunts with my brother and lots of deer hunts, and that was the last one.
Wow. Do you guys talk? I mean, are you guys...
We not so much. My dad passed away, and it kind of just took everything with it when my dad went. And I was adopted. I'm adopted, and I was the youngest, and so my dad and I were really close. Wherever my dad went, I was with him every single time. And my brother was much older, and so I don't know. It was just more difficult for my brother, and me being the baby of the family. My dad bonded with me a lot, and so anyway, it's a lot of resentment. I feel, and but. My brother picked up the coon hunting and the hunting, and my brother's an amazing fisherman, and just like my dad.
Yeah. Well, I pray for you guys to get some reconciliation
I appreciate
sometime,
it.
and maybe you guys will get to hunt one more time or something. You know what I mean?
Well, we've been together on many good hunts. I've seen him. We went to Colorado, and I saw him shoot a nice mule deer there, and we used to do a lot of hunting around Cottonwood Falls with rifle hunting.
Yeah.
And we both have taken beautiful deer rifle hunting in Cottonwood Falls, Kansas, and I miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, what a story though, man. You put him down.
Yeah. Well, we have when it's that buck too. We have 4 sheds to that buck.
Do you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my brother had one, and one of the nicest things my brother ever done for me was and not at the time. At the time when I shot him, his wife was with him, and she says, first thing she says when she sees him is, he was bigger last year. Just one of those things you could just feel the tension.
Yeah.
But a few years later, my brother gave me one of the sheds that he had found.
Oh, nice.
And gave it to me for Christmas.
Heck yeah.
So I don't know. It's been one of those things, and that buck was a part of both of our lives.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What a story though, man.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite hunting memory that you have?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I could even say.
Yeah, I don't know. You got a lot to choose from.
Yeah. My daughter, even my wife shot a beautiful elk while I was there videotaping. That's kind of a long story. I'll make it short. I forgot to push play.
Oh, no.
And so I didn't get the video.
How did she feel about that?
I think luckily we're bow hunting. If she'd had a gun, she might have shot me. It was terrible. I felt so bad because you can't take those things back.
Right. That's
you can't rewind. You can't do anything if you don't have it there to rewind on.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful too. She made
and I know when you realized that you was
yeah. And she made just a beautiful shot on this thing, and he didn't go 40 yards. It was beautiful. And I blew it.
Yeah. Was that her first elk?
Yeah. It was her first elk. I don't know. It might have been her first antlered animal. I think so, yeah. Because, I told you she hunted, but, seeing them big ones isn't something that happens every day, even in Kansas. Like when I do the shows, I tell people, just because you're in Kansas doesn't mean you're going to see one of those big guys. You got to let all the little ones go and, just keep holding out. And a lot of times you hold out until there's nothing left, no time left.
Yeah.
So, and then later on, she shot a nice buck a couple years ago. And I don't know, that it just made for a beautiful video. She was really excited about it.
Yeah. So when you go into a place, what are you looking for when you go in? Because you seem to find these big deer, and you seem to find the sheds. And are there certain terrain features you're looking at or looking for, or is it just your gut feeling?
I like to think it's a little bit of both. How do you shoot a big buck? Well, first thing I think of is you got to think like a big buck. You got to. My friend Bob, I mentioned him earlier, Bob McClaskey, him and I sat down for hours hashing this stuff out, trying to figure out where this buck. Bob was one of the best deer hunters I've ever known, and he shot all of his bucks with bows, and he had a buck, a big 9-pointer that was 171 even.
Wow.
And mine was 171 and 3/8, so I had him by 3/8. But Bob had shot some really nice bucks too, and him and I used to strategize on how to these woodlots on where the best hunting would be and where we could find the sheds. And I think there's a key to every woodlot. The problem is nowadays the woodlots are all chopped up in little pieces, so you got to hunt what you have. And and where he lived out in Eureka, Kansas, we had a lot of big property down on, and that really made it nice. And we would sit down. I have maps of these places where we'd draw lines and where we see them, and just keep time after time after time, and putting all this information together and then hunting them. And of course the sheds are always right in there too. Yeah. Both bucks that I've shot, the 34-pointer and the 11-pointer, his sheds were found within 200 to 300 yards of where he was killed.
Really?
Yeah. For many years.
Yeah.
Like there's one of the bucks I found. He's a big brown antlered 9-pointer or 10-pointer. And I never got a chance to shoot him. I had an opportunity and blew it, but all his sheds
Was
year
you
after year.
Sleeping?
Not that time. Ironically, I might have been, because I was sitting there on a tree seat, which I hunted off the ground till I told you that.
Yeah.
And I had sat in this little draw, and the wind was swirling, and just a soft breeze. Over and over, the wind would change, and I'd move. With a tree seat, I just undo it and move to another spot.
Yeah.
And I can kick some antler or kick the leaves a little bit, rattle or blow a grunt call while I'm kicking, and sit down.
Yeah.
And I would do that. I did that like 3 or 4 times, and finally got to where it's getting late, and I have no choice but to stay now. So as I'm sitting there, and I picked my facing, it was probably to the northeast, and just not even an hour after I'm standing there, I heard something, and I looked over, and he was standing 20 yards away from me, looking at me.
No kidding.
So I just was. If I'd have been facing slightly the other direction, I could have saw him. I might have had a chance, but no, he
snuck in
saw
on
me.
you.
Yeah, saw me, and it was just all over. He took off running. I remember seeing those big antlers running away from me, and then again, as I'm getting older, I don't hear as well as I used to on my left side, which that too was the side he came up on. So I'm sitting there still fuming a little bit, and I hear something behind me, and I turn and look, and he's walking on the hillside directly behind me, no more than 40 yards. And so I stand up and turn around real quick. I drew my bow and trying to wiggle a shot through the trees, and couldn't get a shot.
Dang.
So it was so close. But again, that buck, the reason I was hunting there is because it was getting later in the season, and he'd always lost his antlers at the top of the draw. So I was hunting down at the bottom of the creek, and it worked, but it didn't pan out.
He
that
was
day.
just on the wrong side.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so was I.
Yeah, or you was one or
if
the
I
other.
could have been sitting on the where I picked my first spot was the best, but the wind was just wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I give you crap about sleeping or whatever. When I when I shot that drop tine last season, I literally that morning. I'm one of those guys. I hunt dark to dark. I get out there a couple hours before sunlight, and then I'll hunt till dark a lot, as much as I can anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of like you. If I get comfortable and I just decide I'm not gonna fight it, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I used to fight it where I'd be like, stay awake, stay. Now I just I'll go to sleep. So this particular morning, it was an eventful morning. I had a monster buck come behind me. He wasn't 30 yards, but he was in the thick stuff, and he had his nose on the ground, and he was on a hot doe's trail, I believe, and I grunted. I got him to stop, but he kept going. I rattled, got him to stop, but he kept going, and finally he went back down the backside of the mountain behind me. So I'm like, man, that was crazy. That was one of the biggest deers I've ever seen in the wilds, And so I was all pumped up, and a couple hours goes by, and I'm not seeing nothing at this point. Nothing's moving. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take a nap. So I hunt in a saddle. So I'm 20 feet up in the tree, and I get comfortable in my saddle, and I just go to sleep. I fell asleep for about 30, 40 minutes probably, and I wake up, and I kind of look around, and I thought, man, I got to pee. So I turned around and let her go, turned back around, got all comfortable with my saddle, and I just happened to look over, and 17 yards was that drop tine standing there staring at me. And I'm like, oh, no. But I got him.
No doubt. Awesome. At that time? Nice. Very nice.
I grabbed my bow. I will say I went to pull it back, and I got about halfway, and I don't know if I got buck fever or what happened, but I was struggling. I was like, what is happening? And he's just staring at me, and he didn't look like he was alarmed or like nothing. I think he was trying to figure me out, like, because he's seen the tree taking a leak, you know what I mean? And so I'm halfway back, and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? I'm like, just draw the thing back. So finally I get it back, and I let her fly, and I got him.
Nice.
So that was, but I'm like you. If I got to go to sleep, I'll go to sleep.
Yeah, I tend to do it a lot, and I'm comfortable doing it. I've never had an issue where I felt like I was going to fall out.
Yeah. Do you mostly hunt on the ground?
Well, I used to back, when I was doing a lot of rattling, and of course, rattling on your 20 acres is very uneventful sometimes. So, I sit in a tree stand most often on my own property. You asked me earlier about, one of my favorite hunts.
Yeah.
And, my daughter, Sierra, I don't know if you met her. She was there to show me whitetails also. And, her and I were out in Western Kansas on a mule deer hunt. And, we just got permission. We showed up in the morning, and I took her for a walk out into the prairie, and the pitch black. It was so dark you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. And so we walked out in the prairie at night, and sat down. And as the sun came up, there was, I don't know, maybe 4 nice mule deers bedded down about maybe 300 or 400 yards down the draw from where we were hunting. And what makes this one of my best memories is my daughter was there, and my daughter did this.
Yeah. How old was she at this point?
I think she was like 18.
Okay.
And I said, "There's some bucks right there. If you want to go after them, let's go." And she looked and looked and looked, and I remember her whispering over to me, "They're all too small."
You're like, that's my girl. I'd have been like, what? Just shoot one.
I think that was my first response. So we had permission. We just got permission at this new farm, which we were going to go hunting first. And then later in the day, we're going to get together with my brother-in-law and father-in-law and go to this new area and introduce everyone and let them know we're there, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And so we get there and we talk with the farmer for quite a while. And he says, if I was you guys, I would, and then we had two vehicles. My daughter and I were in one, and brother-in-law and father-in-law in the other. And we split up. He said, I would take that road and go set up on those hills over there. And you guys go down this way. And as you're driving up through there, just watching those draws, those bucks will bed down on those draws, wide open prairie. And the draws aren't that big, really. So we do. And as we get to our high point where we're up right almost to the top of where we're supposed to be, in the distance, I heard a gunshot. All right. And as we look to the east, there's this little tiny buck that looks like he's 2 miles away running right at us. All right. So we watched him and watched him and watched him. And he's coming still right down the draw we're in, right straight at us. We're sitting in the truck. So we jump out of the truck and we go over to the edge because he would disappear in the draws, as he's coming through. And so we ran down to the hill and opened up. We have this beautiful wide open field right in front of us. This buck is coming at us. He's getting closer and closer. And now I'm starting to see how big he is. And he's a big mule deer. So she's preparing herself, and she's a beginner. It was her first deer. And she takes her first shot and misses. And this buck's running. He's been running for 2 miles. So he's not running fast, but he's still moving right along. So she takes her first shot and misses. He goes up a little. She puts another one in, takes another shot and misses. And now this buck's starting to get away. So I didn't know that she was right behind me, but I took off and I ran over the top of this hill straight away from the deer because he's going to go around that point and come around the other side. And as I get to the other side, I ran a lot farther and faster than she did, apparently. And there's a fence line on the other hillside, probably about 170 yards out. And this mule deer go running up through there, and I got my scope on him, and I'm waiting. He's gonna run up to the fence and stop, or he's gonna jump and stop. You could just feel it was gonna happen that way. And as he's trotting up to that fence line, I hear this the gun, and it was so loud I could have swore it felt like she blew my hat off. She was uphill higher than I was, and shot kind of right over me. And she just, I got him. She just so excited.
Oh yeah,
I got him. He was by, and she said, it was my bullet that brought him down. She was really excited.
Yeah.
And so that was probably one of my favorite hunts.
Oh,
and
yeah,
she
what
field
a
dressed it
memory.
and did everything. I don't know. I think he's got maybe 18 or 19 points. I think I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
He grosses in the high 180s. Just a beautiful mule deer.
Yeah.
That was another one of my.
What a story, man.
Yeah.
I know that meant a lot to you.
Oh,
I
it did.
can tell for sure. You
Yeah.
know, that's awesome, man. That's crazy how some of my best memories as far as hunting seem to always involve one of my children with me or something.
Yeah,
You know?
you're right.
Yeah, that's
It's like
always a good time.
Up until I had children, I hunted and did everything for myself, and everything was all by myself.
Yeah.
And then once the kids came, it was all about taking them and living most of my hunting through the eyes of my children and my wife.
Yeah.
'Cause my wife was her dad hunted and fished a lot, just a great outdoorsman as well, but he never took his daughter with him for whatever reason. I have no idea. But when she met me, her and I we started shooting guns and shooting bows. She probably can outshoot me with a bow right now. And I gave her the bow that I shot the 34 pointer with. That's the one she shoots. It's a High Country 4Runner Extreme. And at the time she used to shoot it at 68 pounds. So she was zapping a 68 pounder out there. And she's backed it down a little bit since then. But yeah, she shot several nice bucks with that since then. But yeah, living the outdoor life through the eyes of my children. You know, even when I go fishing, I hook a big fish, I'll give it to the kids to reel it, just like my dad did for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's so cool. So you do a lot of fishing too, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. What do you do? Because I know you had those were your dogs at the show, right?
Yeah. Well, two of the 7 dogs.
Two of the dogs
were
were
ours.
yours.
Yeah.
So you train them. How does that work?
Drop Tine and Jordan. Of course, you can tell Drop Tine got her name from the drop tine of a deer, and Jordan got her name from the former world record, James Jordan. I came up with those names.
There you go.
They started off as we were doing shows with Jason Reynolds, and Jason says, one of my dogs having pups. If you guys want one, you can have first pick. So we went with it. The dog had the puppies. Jason's wife brought this dog up to Amber to give to her, and Amber's like, "Oh, it's so cute." But then she took that dog and walked over by the rest of them and picked out this other dog that was the only red dog in the whole litter. And of course, that became Drop Tine. And Drop Tine's just an amazing dog. And since day one, we bought her to show. She's been to every show with us ever since.
Nice.
So she would, at the time, she was a little mellower, and she would just lay there and we would do our thing. But she started jumping into the tank and kind of dock diving into the tank. And she did that early on. As shed season would roll around, we tried to teach her to be a shed dog, and that's still a work in progress. And then, of course, same thing with Jordan. It was just that my wife's trained the dogs real well. And for me, I'm 60 years old now. For me to go out into the woods, and like I said, a lot of it I do by myself. To have the dogs with me has just been a blessing.
Yeah.
So if they're bringing me sheds, great. If they're not, that's great too.
There.
Yeah. What the one time with the dogs, I was just laying back on the ground. I just cracked a Red Bull and was eating some crackers, and Drop Tine comes running up with this little bitty antler, and it was like she thought it was a Boone and Crockett, but it wasn't. But about 8 inches long. But she was so excited to do that.
I could bet.
But yeah, so that was one of those
you
times.
was excited as fuck.
Oh, I was.
Man.
Yeah. But that's how the dogs come along. Jordan, I don't know. I think Jordan has the makings to be an amazing dog or amazing jumper. She's the best jumper out of the 7.
Really?
Yeah, we have the 2 or 3. We have 2 other big males. One of them's a litter mate, and Jordan just out jumps them every time.
Kidding.
She's just an amazing jumper.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The obedience, the dogs are so obedient. Being at the shows, it's not all about being boxed up and being stuck in a kennel and being in the building. We have to take them out.
Yeah,
and so having the dogs being obedient the way they are, we can call them when we need them, and they'll listen to you. It's just amazing, and that's the best part of having a good dog. Just like my dad with the coon dogs.
Yeah,
dad was. I was told that my dad was one of the greatest coon dog trainers there ever was.
No kidding.
And of course, growing up, you realize how important it was for them dogs to listen to him when he called them.
Yeah, facts. And it's funny, we were just talking, me and somebody, I think it was a buddy of mine, was just talking about that the other day, about the turkey population in Missouri anyway. It's dwindled in a lot of areas from what I'm hearing. I know it's dwindled in my area where I hunt at a lot. And somebody said their thoughts was because back in the day, people used to coon hunt very often.
I believe that a lot of that to be true.
And now very rare to you.
It wasn't
hear
necessarily
of it.
just coon hunting. It was coons, possums,
Yes.
coyotes, whatever.
Everything that eats a turkey egg.
Anything that
turkey.
someone could sell and make some money off
Yeah.
of. I believe that to be 100% true. We have a ton of coyotes where we live, and for the longest time, you'd see turkeys and stuff like that. But this last season, I've seen a lot of turkeys. I set up my tree stand all through November and had them roosting just a few yards away right there, and it looked like 50 or 20 of them almost every evening. Mm-hmm. I'm just not a turkey hunter.
Yeah, you don't turkey hunt at all?
No, not so much. I wouldn't mind, but I just don't do it.
I turkey hunt. I got into it a few years ago, but a lot of my areas that I hunt, you have to use a bow. I do some urban hunting and stuff, and I've got some great turkey spots, but you have to use a bow. And so you were saying something about your wife earlier about out shooting you and stuff. So my wife has decided she wants to go on a turkey hunt with me next week, actually.
Nice.
And so she's going to use it. She wants to bow hunt, but she's been having issues with her shoulder, and her and the doctors are trying to get it taken care of without surgery. And so she's just not pulling back a bow just yet, but she's been shooting a crossbow. And she's one of those, I feel like she's probably a lot like your wife is.
Well, you're a lucky man.
She's competitive and she can shoot. And I'm like, I know when she picks up that bow, she will definitely probably outshoot me.
See, back in my early days, I used to shoot a lot of tournaments. Like I told you, I started, I found some sheds and I learned how to shoot a bow by myself. Okay. I would go to Shawnee Mission Park and hang out there, and the older gentlemen would be there, and they would give me their advice and help me with everything, and pretty soon I was working on my own bows and fletching my own arrows. And my theory was, if you get out of things what you put into it, say, oh, I've always done my own arrows. And anyways, I had the eyes of a young man back then.
Yeah.
And I would shoot these tournaments, and they'd have 50 targets, and if I would go there shooting my 80-pound hunting setup with practice tips on it, of course, and I would be the only one there shooting an 80-pound bow, and the only one shooting their hunting setup.
Yeah.
And I was shooting to hit every target. I wasn't there to win. I was just to practice, and I got to where I met my friend Bob at Bob McClaskey at a archery tournament. And on the tournament, I shot like 48 out of 50 targets and hit all, I hit all 48 of them.
Yeah.
I missed only 2 targets all day long. I got second place, and him and I started talking, and we were friends from then on.
Nice.
But yeah, but my wife's got that now. She's got some good eyes, steady arm. I don't shoot 80 pounds anymore. Of course, once the bows came along, I quit doing that. And of course, I couldn't even pull back an 80-pound bow now.
Yeah, I can imagine. I just got I have like a bow collection. I have a problem, but I just picked up a Hoyt AX.
How many bows you got?
I think I got 9.
Yeah, you got a problem.
Yeah, it's funny because
I have like 5.
Okay, you kind of got a problem. I got a problem. A buddy of mine come in, and he was like, he was down in my bow area, and he was like, he walks in, and that's what he says. He goes, "You got a problem," and I go, "But you know what's funny, man?" I said, if this was just rifles lined up, I could have 25 rifles down here.
Yeah.
And you'd come down here and be like, man, this is awesome.
No
you know
doubt.
what I mean? But I got 8 or 9 bows, and I got a problem.
Yeah.
I'm just, a buddy of mine that we talk a lot, I'm a mailman during the day, and he is too. So we'll spend a lot of time, and he's a big hunter. And so we have a lot in common. We get to enjoy the day talking to each other a lot, And he always says, you don't have a problem. You're just a collector. And I'm like, ooh, I like that. I'm definitely a collector.
So my bows are all bows that I've shot and shot and shot. And once I shot something worthy, I retired them. And that's how I accumulate. Of course, that's a good way to think. And then it's a good way to get you a new bow.
Yeah. I think I kind of do the same. I think I shoot probably 3 or 4 deer with each bow. And then it's like, all right, now I need a new bow. And so the only bow I shot, I have a Bowtech came out with a Legends bow, and it was the Chris Kyle edition.
Oh yeah.
And so, and I'm a vet, so when I seen that, it'd been out for a couple years at this point, and so I thought, man, I want that bow. That's really cool. And so I looked for one for a couple years because I wanted a brand new one in the box because they only made like 1,100 of them. It had a certificate of authenticity.
Wow.
Some dog tags and a Chris Kyle hat. And I mean, just a little bit of extra stuff. So I wanted a new one. Well, I ended up finding one at some online and at an archery shop in like Indiana or somewhere, I think it was. And so I contacted them. They're like, yeah, it's brand new. So they sent it. I bought it. They sent it to me, and just beautiful. It had flag on the limbs, and it says Chris Kyle Legends bow. And it's made by Bowtech.
I'll have to look it up. I've never seen it.
Yeah, super cool, man. And so I shot that for a season, and I killed 4 or 5 deer with that bow, and that's the bow I said, this one's getting put up. It's now a wall ornament because I think it's beautiful. So, and I had some extra stuff made for it, grips made, and I had the quiver and the American flag. I'll show it to you before you leave. Right. Yeah, super cool bow, man.
I retired the bow that I shot the 34 pointer with, and that's the bow she shoots now. It's a 4Runner it's a high country 4Runner Extreme.
Okay.
Smoothest shooting bow I've ever shot in my entire life. Yeah. Yeah. It was, it's not as fast as the Bowtech I shoot now, but at the time.
What Bowtech do you shoot?
Oh, I wish I could tell you. I knew you were going to ask me that.
Yeah. Sorry, I asked the dumb questions.
Well, I know I had an Allegiance, and I don't know, I didn't care for it, and I still have it too, but gosh, I can't remember the name of it.
I've got a Bowtech. I've got a SR6. I've got a Prodigy. I actually have 2 Prodigies. I really like those. I think those are the 3 Bowtechs I have.
The one I shot my big 11 pointer, the 80 pounder. It was kind of almost a one of a kind. I mean, it wasn't a one of a kind, but just in our area there wasn't very many of them. It was called a Golden Circle, not Golden Eagle, a Golden Circle, and it was back when the limbs went from being all wood to carbon, and this one was a mix. So it has wooden carbon built into the limbs. And it was an 80 pounder. It was heavy as a boat anchor, but
Wow.
man, it shot. And I won a lot of tournaments with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of, they would have the speed tournaments, the one they would chronograph your arrows. And I won a lot of those
Yeah.
too. And yeah, I have a really short draw length. So having a short draw length and a bow that shot 300 plus feet per second
Yeah.
back then
That's
was pretty
crazy.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And that, again, that was probably 25 years ago or more.
Yeah. And that was amazing probably back in them days, you know,
yeah.
for sure.
And I shot a lot of indoors too. And I would shoot my 80-pound bows on the indoors, which is uncalled for and unnecessary, but it was my hunting bow.
Yeah.
And you can't practice in the wintertime, so I would shoot it indoors. And I would shoot my bow, and they were so loud that when I shot, the people would jump. And because, indoors and 80 pounds and those little light arrows.
I'm sure.
And yeah, I had a lot of people talking about that, how they were scared to stand close to me.
Yeah, I bet.
The bow never came apart. It shot well, and it's got
Yeah.
some little tiny cracks in the limbs now, but I put it through a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet, especially at that 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found that a lot of my bows are like 29, 30 inches, something like that. And I like this one I bought, I got the 33, that longer axle to axle, man. I just feel like it's a lot more stable when I'm holding it. It just sits very well. What do you shoot? You like shorter bows, longer bows?
Well, I've always liked the shorter ones. I have back when I did a lot of shooting, a lot of tournament shooting, the overdraw was popular.
Yeah.
And so shooting really short arrows and I don't know, I guess I've always liked the shorter bows.
Yeah. Yeah. Got you. So you guys travel all around doing shows?
Yeah, we do. We got Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. We were supposed to go to Texas and we backed out of that one, but yeah, we do a lot of traveling. The southern states are always fun.
Yeah.
My antler collection is, it's not a world-class antler collection. I tell people this, and some people say I'm wrong about it, but it's not a world-class antler collection,
You're wrong.
but it's mine.
Yeah.
And I've shot some of the biggest bucks in my collection, and I found some of the biggest antlers in my collection, and so I'm very proud of it. And when I take it to the southern states, I'm going into like Mississippi, Alabama, with some of them being potentially state records if they were from those states.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine.
The farther south I go, the bigger they get.
Yeah, for sure. Now, so like everything you had at the show here in town, is that your collection or is there?
That's the best of the best.
Okay.
I have a huge pile of antler at home, and I can only carry so much. They only give me enough space to display so much. So I could dig through my pile that's just sitting in the barn collecting dust and pick out some really nice, big, beautiful sheds that would look just as good as most of them on the table.
Yeah.
So when I chose the ones I took, I tried to come up with the ones where I have multiple sets off of and the ones that had close encounters with, the one that makes the best conversations.
Yeah, for
Some
sure.
of the antlers, though they'll be big, sit on the table and no one ever sees them. So I try to bring up the ones that'll bring the most conversation.
Yeah.
And the multiple sets are what that does it. And then I could top it off with, my deer stories where I've had them right up to me time after time after time. I got this big 8-pointer. My 8-pointer grows nets 170 and some eighths, 175 net or gross, and had him walk up to my tree stand, and I just couldn't get him killed.
Yeah.
But just all those, then I have 4 of those antlers, 4 antlers off that buck. And so those are the ones that make the best stories. And that's why I bring the ones I bring. I have a bunch more deer heads at home that I could bring, but traveling is really hard on them.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been making me sick. I don't know. Now I'm contemplating that if I shoot another big buck, that I should probably have, one of my deer remounted just because it's been riding in the trailer and just every time a hair falls off, it doesn't grow back.
Yeah.
So,
Facts.
so it's just been tough.
Yeah, I can see that. You, I remember talking to you at the show, and you said we were talking about some of your finds and whatnot, and you had said this was back before trail cams, so this is how you track deer was by their sheds.
So we would, of course, find as many places they would allow us. Someone would allow us to go hunting, and we'd shed hunt them all.
Yeah.
And where we found the biggest sheds is where we'd hunt.
Yep.
And of course that paid off. And I don't know. I used to have some really good spots. I moved away from Kansas for 3 years, and then when I got back, all my hunting spots were given out to someone else. So that was a tough time, and I haven't really recovered from that because I did have some, some of the spots I had for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And when I moved away, they just if I wasn't there, they gave it to someone else to do, and then they would and then they get sold, leased up, just all kinds of things happened over the years. And but yeah, that's how we would do it. We trail cameras, back then you would get a trail camera and you would put it out and you'd get 25 pictures of turkeys and 30 squirrels, and you go to Walmart, have them developed, and 2 weeks later you get your stuff back, and then you look through it and it's turkey. It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah. So, man, you got some great stories, dude. And I know we could sit here and talk for hours.
I know, and I could too, because we hit some of these things, your favorite stories, your favorite times, and I'm just loaded with them. I have a lot of them, a lot of close encounters, a lot of cool stuff, the stuff that just brings you back. Yeah. It's like hitting the hole in one as a golfer, or, just a lot of different things. That tournament stuff was just a blast. And I really enjoyed that part and missed that, and would like to do that again, but they just don't have them like they used to.
Yeah. What's like the wildest encounter you've had? You've had some close calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
All right.
you perked up on that one.
Yeah, because I had one I wanted to mention, but this one's going to hit that spot exactly. All right. So I'm working, as I do more, and of course that's what slowed my hunting down too. So I'm working one day, and I heard these guys out in the garage. They were working on the driveway, talking about going hunting, and of course they're talking about hunting, and I'm a fanatic hunter, so I had to join in.
Correct.
And before they were done with lunch, we're fixing to go to Colorado next week. If you want to go, come on. I'm like, okay, I'm going. And sure enough, it was 1987. I bought my first new truck. I only had it for about a week. And they all loaded into my new truck, and away we went. 1989. And we get there. We drove all day long to go to Rifle, Colorado. All right, so we drove all day long to get there. All the way there, I'm telling deer stories, and story after story after story. And it was 2 sons and a father, and myself in this one vehicle. And the father's like, "Well, damn, how many deer have you shot?" And I, because that was one of the things he said along the way.
I have no idea.
So we get into the mountains. At the time, I have a list.
Okay.
So we get into the mountains, and we're driving through the mountains. It's the sun, it just came up, and I'm spotting elk and deer off in the distance. And the old man again says, "Just keep your eye on the road. We'll look for animals." That was another thing I heard him say. And so we get there. We stopped in Rifle. And we go to the grocery store and we grab up everything we need, and then we head up into the mountains. So we do that, set up camp, everything. We get everything ready, and there's a few hours left before the sun goes down. So he's like, "Oh, let's all go out." And so I'm like, I've never been there before, but they'd been there for like 3 years straight. And they said, "You can take this fence line." And if you look on my Facebook page, you'll see my story. And it starts off with a fence line that just heads down over the mountain, and that's where my story started. So I head down this fence line to the area they told me that I could hunt. There'll be no one down there. You can have it all. All right, great. So I head down the fence line, and I get down to where I could see down into a valley, and I laid back on the hillside and fall asleep. So, and I don't know how long I was out, but when I woke back up, there was a herd of elk standing in the field.
No way.
There was probably 15. There was babies playing. They were
How
running.
far are they from you?
Oh, I don't know. It felt like half a mile.
Yeah.
So the babies were running up and down the valley playing, and the cows were just doing their thing. And there stood this one bull, and I'm watching with my binoculars, just watching.
Have you been elk hunting before at this point?
First time.
This is your first time. Okay.
So I'm watching and watching and watching and just enjoying it. And then I heard a bugle. I don't know if it was a hunter or a elk.
Yeah.
But when I heard the bugle, the whole herd spooked and ran. All right, so I'm facing to the south. They ran to the east from where I was standing and out of sight. And I was just like, wow, that was cool, watching all of them run up through there like that.
Yeah.
And then I heard it. I heard their footsteps. Not steps, the foot pounding like a stampede.
Yeah.
Coming my way.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, I just dropped down to my knee. And, of course, got my arrow ready and everything. And because I could hear them coming from a long ways, and the whole herd of them ran right at me. They went out of sight and then turned and came right at me.
Oh, crap.
All right, so I'm knelt down, still shooting my 80-pound bow. It was I don't remember what kind it was back then, but and a cow runs up, the first one leading the way. And she is like, if I'm facing this way, she was like standing right there, and I could see her out of the corner of my eye. I could see her feet out of the corner of my eyes. I'm facing like that. And the bull's the one I've been watching, and he comes trotting up. He comes straight at me like he was going to run right straight into me. And as he gets within 3 feet.
3 feet?
3 feet.
Oh, my goodness, dude.
It sounds crazy. I used to say 5.
And you got a cow right beside you over here.
I used to say 5, but it was close. It was so close that I just stood up and drew my bow and released into his chest.
Holy crap.
His veins were sticking out about that much.
No kidding.
And he reared up on his back legs and, and just twisted. And he made kind of a C shape as he's stumbling around. And I had a fanny pack on. And I was carrying my 35 millimeter camera. So it's like, camera. I get the camera out and take a picture, And I have pictures.
You did that so well.
Oh, I know, because I can remember it like it was yesterday. So I get 3 or 4 pictures of him before he hits the ground.
Wow.
And he falls right directly in front of me. And of course, I walk over, and I was so excited again. And his head was twisted. So I loosened his antlers from the bind he's in. And the antler comes around and catches my leg and just takes me out. Down I went.
Crap.
I'm looking up at this guy. And of course, it was no big deal. It's just I can remember that too. And it was very exciting.
Oh,
So
I bet,
I'm thinking,
crap.
okay, got a bull. The sun's going down.
How
What do I
big
do?
was he?
He was a 4x3.
Okay.
Okay, not a raghorn 4x3. He has a nice big frame. And on my Facebook, you'll see him. And he's hanging on I have him at home. I mounted him. And so he's a nice big framed 4x3, legal by just 1 point.
Yeah.
And
that's all that counts.
Yep. And of course, it felt like a world record.
Yeah. Oh,
This
I can
huge
imagine.
animal laying right in front of me.
Dude.
And I'm like, all right, it's getting dark. What do I do? Head back up the fence line. So I thought, well, I was young back then. I'll just run up there real quick. And of course, I ran for a couple hundred yards. Like, got to walk.
Whew, yeah.
I get up there and I told the whole bunch of them, like, yeah, I got one. What'd you get? Well, I shot an elk on the first day of the first evening. So
I bet there was a little bit of jealousy going on.
I'll get to that part. So, and I told them along the way, I say, if anyone ever invites me to hunting, I always tell me, which one do you not want me to shoot?
Yeah.
Because that's the first one I'm going to have to pass up.
Yeah.
So I told them all, and of course, between the bunch of them, they knew a route to drive to get me down into the field I was in. So we all jumped in the truck. There was like 11 of us riding in the back, and we drove down to the pasture and drove all the way back up the mountain and right up to him. We drug him right into the back of the truck. That's how close it was.
Dude.
And their name was Bollinger, John Bollinger, and his dad and another son. And that was the last time I'd been hunting with them. They didn't invite me to go the next year.
That seems to be a reoccurring thing with you. I'm just not going to invite you to go. We're just going to cut to the chase. Right
Well,
there.
I always get to the point. I always tell them, if there's something here now, you better tell me
You
now.
better tell me what not to shoot. Yeah, I get that. For
My
sure.
brother would call me a deer magnet. He said we could take 2 hedgerows and Dave would be on one hedgerow and I could be on the other, and the deer go down his hedgerow every single time.
Yeah.
And it's weird, but it has been that way for me.
Yeah.
So I feel very comfortable in the woods, and very comfortable. If I have a good spot to hunt where there's not a lot of hunting pressure, it's only a matter of time before I'll get me a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Gotta love that. So you have Wards Whitetail Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have?
I had a YouTube channel, but I don't know. The YouTube was very difficult for me to get posts onto, so I kind of got bored with it, and I quit posting on YouTube. We were talking about starting an Instagram and just doing some other things. We are coming up, getting closer to 10,000. We're not quite there yet. 10,000 followers. So
nice.
Hopefully by the end of the year we'll have that much. We've some of the shows we do real well for me because every time I talk to someone, I mention it to them.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's been really, really helpful.
So everybody needs to go to your Facebook page and follow you on there.
I post all of my shed hunts. I do a lot of hunting videos, a lot of fishing picture videos, anything I thought that was entertaining. Mm-hmm. The boringest part of everything on my page is the shows I do.
Yeah.
Of course, from a hunting point of view, if those people that I do take their pictures of and talk with, and I'm sure they enjoy seeing themselves on there too. But if you're a hunter, I have no doubt in my mind if you dig through there, you'll like some of the stuff you see.
Yeah, for sure.
My elk stories on there. It starts off with the fence line going over the hill, and the last picture on the post is me driving back home with the mountains in the back and the rack sticking up.
Oh yeah.
So that's really cool. And I don't know if a person likes that type of stuff. I've worked really hard to entertain
Yeah.
everyone, catching wild animals, catching snakes, just whatever I can do to entertain people.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's
Yeah.
so awesome. I've found since starting this and trying to do it on Instagram and what is it? YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. There's so much to social media, and I don't know the stuff like my kids know the stuff. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
can get on there and do all kinds of stuff. So I found I'm trying to learn it. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm doing too much. Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough, you know, because I'm like you, I'm just trying to
What kills
grow.
me is when you feel like you're doing enough and you're not getting enough reward.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, where's that growth at? I'm waiting
Yeah.
for that growth. And
Yeah.
I've been told a couple times it's a marathon, not a race. Just let it
Yeah,
grow.
yeah.
And it'll
You
grow
know,
naturally.
Amber shot her buck, and on one of our posts, we got 1.2 million views. Just in it, I wasn't in it at all.
Yeah.
I was the guy behind the camera, but I don't know. There's a large amount of them. We're just commenting on my wife and all the mistakes she made.
Hey, but
But
they
it went
say
on
even
and on.
negative crap will help you to grow. So
Yeah, and that's been very true because it just went on and on and on. We stood there and watching the numbers just rising so fast that it was amazing. It was fun. It was
I've got a reel that it's reached. I think it's almost at 100,000 views now. But some of the comments on there, and it's a guy that I had on the podcast, and he's talking about it is a 200-inch buck that he killed, and some of the comments on there are just ridiculous. You know, I'm like, and at first I'm like, why would even anybody say that? You
Yeah.
know, and my wife's like, who cares? They're saying something.
Yeah, no
It's just
doubt.
letting you
See,
grow.
Amber, of course, had the bow in her hand and was carrying her arrow in the other hand and put her bow down. And she said, "Now let's go look at my buck." And she threw the arrow down on top of her bow. And you wouldn't believe how many people commented on that you'd have to
Really?
learn. One of these days you'll learn the hard way. And I'm like thinking in my head, you know, after her shooting her buck with my old Forerunner Extreme, if she was to
Yeah.
cut it, we'll just buy her a new one.
Yeah, facts.
So
I don't think she's too worried
Some
about
of those
that.
are tough lessons to learn, but some of them are just lessons.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. I think you guys are doing cool stuff, man. Both you and your wife, for sure, man. And
Well-
it was a pleasure to meet you guys at the show, for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. I've met a lot of good people, and I don't know if we got to this part yet, but some of the coolest people I met, the swamp people there.
Oh yeah, that's what you
And,
told me. You
that,
met
that,
them,
That alligator hunting stuff was a blast.
didn't you? You went with them,
Yeah, I did.
alligator hunting.
I
You
did.
got to tell us about that.
Season
before we
16,
leave.
of course. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you all this, but
Is it out or not out?
no, it's out.
It's out. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully
season
it's
16. At the time, they said you can't take any pictures and no videos because we don't want to.
Now wait. So you met him at the show,
Yeah.
right? And then how did it transpire? The next thing you know, you're in the swamp.
I can't tell you the whole
Oh.
story. So Don Brewer, Cat Daddy,
Yeah.
was on a show called The Mudcats, and he was one of the guys hand fishing for catfish. Jason Reynolds, the guy with the fetching fish, was the host of Mudcats.
Okay.
All right, so at the time we had no idea about any of that, but then we met Don Brewer, and Don, we met him in Topeka at the Monster Buck Classic.
Okay.
All right, so we started hanging out with him for a little bit, and Don was excited to introduce us to Jason, and I don't even know why. Anyways, to make a long story short, before the end of the weekend, we all became lifelong friends.
Nice. That's awesome.
And it's an awesome story. I'll tell you, but I just
Yeah.
can't tell you. All right. So anyway,
I love it. I
So-
can't wait to hear it. All right, we're done. Thanks.
so we became good friends with Jason Reynolds, and which has just been a blessing in itself. But Jason and Don were great friends, and Amber was going on a woman's outing, a women's get together, and they were going down to on a road trip that took them through Pierre Apartment in Louisiana. While she was down there, she called Don Brewer. Hey, we're down here. Can a friend of mine come and hang out? Come see you.
Yeah.
And so he ended up taking him out on the swamp donkey on the airboat of Don's
Yeah.
and cruising through the swamp and just having a good time.
Troy Landry put me in his boathouse for a week.
Yeah, she
Dang.
stayed with one of the
Nice.
Landry homes for a whole week, and came back to Morgan's, Louisiana, and went alligator hunting. Shot her personal best alligator. It was 10 foot 2
my
inches.
God.
So
Amber, you got to come on the show.
so
You got some stories.
so the next season, the next season we decided, and she was going to take me this time. So the first week of our trip,
I love that.
the first week of our trip, we did the same thing. We went down there and met up with Don, and I don't know, they just treated us like we've been friends forever. The whole Landry group, the whole Swamp People group. I met almost all of them while I was there, and we had to keep ourselves out of the video. So every time they would do a video, they had dinners and things that Amber and I were sitting at that we had to move out of the way so they could video it, and we had to be quiet. And there was one time that there was a fishing pole on the back dock, and they were videotaping right down there towards that fishing pole, and it's getting ready to be yanked in. And I run out there and grab it. I don't know. I don't know if they had to cut that out of there, but I'm almost certain I got in that video. But I'm certain they cut it out. But yeah, we did that for a whole week. They just treated us real well, and we're looking forward to going back this September.
No kidding, dude.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, we after again, Morganza's been Louisiana's where we actually went gator hunting. When we were in Pierre Park with Don Brewer, we shot 19 alligators in one day.
Oh my goodness.
And it started off slow, but just like they kept pounding.
What are you
and pounding
shooting them with?
22.
22s?
Yeah, they're catching them on lines.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, some of this stuff I almost forgot.
Yeah.
You get mixed up with your own stuff. And while we were down there, we shot all 19 of those gators. The season is done, and our time is done with them. And they decide on the last day that they're going to do what they called a specialty shoot. All right, so they're off doing their thing. There was Troy and the whole group of people. There was 3 or 4, maybe 5 boats setting in the swamp, and Amber and I got the task with another guy to go run the lines by ourselves.
Oh, no kidding.
So here we are taking off through the swamp in Pierre Park, and I'm getting. I was lucky enough to pull the gators up myself. So the thing was, we'd pull up to a line. If there was a gator on it, leave it alone, change the tags, and go on to the next one. If there was nothing on there, change the bait. So I jumped in there. I'm changing the bait, digging through this nasty chicken to do this. And the guy says, "You sure you want to do that? This is Troy Landry stuff here. I'll be more than happy."
Yeah.
So I jumped up there. And of course, as we come up to some of the bigger ones, I would pull them up and just get a look at them and let them go.
No kidding.
And Troy would come back later that day and round up his alligators.
So what would they do when you was pulling them up? They just
I don't know if you've ever been limb lining for catfish.
Yeah.
All right. So same thing, except when you pull it up there, the splash isn't 3 feet round. It's like 10 feet.
10 feet.
And you have this thing on there. One of the most impressive things I've seen, we were in the Mississippi in Morganza, and this was an alligator amber shot. And we pulled it up, and the line on it was like 20 feet long. So it was way out in the water. So as we pull up to the line, the gator decides it wants to swim upriver. And as it's going, the line catches the back of the boat and just pulls us sideways. And as it's pulling us sideways, the guy on the front's trying to get the line loose and get it untangled from the boat.
Right.
So it's like not happening. The alligator has us no matter what. So the alligator comes up on the other side of the boat, and we're all standing there looking at it because you could see it was just going like you have a big giant catfish on there. And it came up, and he comes up, and his eyeballs come up in his head, and he just stood there for just a split second. But then he just blew up. And when he blew up, it was like,
yeah, dude.
That was amazing.
I bet it was.
And it happened several times. That's amazing. That's a feeling you won't get nowhere else.
Like
All right.
in your boat.
Yeah. You get 'em-
I can
you-
imagine.
and see, the Mississippi River is a little bit different than the swamp gators, and this is just my opinion. They were more lively. I don't know if it's the different water or what it was, or maybe the time they were on the lines, or who knows exactly what. But you pull them up, and the thing would pop them jaws, and that's another time that just like you'll never forget that. as long
Yeah,
as
I
you
bet
live.
not.
Growl.
Oh, you hear them growling and
Oh,
stuff?
yeah.
Growl.
Oh, yeah.
So, when I caught mine, my best is an 11 footer. Ironically, he had one of his legs bit off, so we joked that he was only a 3 footer. But the day before that, as we're setting the lines,
I got to hang out with you guys.
we're setting the lines, and we pull up in this spot where we set the line where I eventually caught him, and a big alligator is swimming up the creek. And so Amber and Seth jump out of the boat and go running up the bank, trying to get a shot at this big alligator as he's swimming up the creek, but he just kept out in front of him, and they never did get a shot. So we get back in the boat, set our lines, come back the next day. I think we caught 3 alligators in that channel, but mine was the very first one, okay? And it was out on the end of it, right there by the Mississippi River. And we get up to it, and we start pulling it up, and the water is not clear. It's the Mississippi River. And as you're looking into the water and I start pulling this line, the mud just started boiling up. And I'll never forget that. And it's in it's in one of my videos. You can see the mud just boiling up off the bottom. And I don't know, the fight was on. And you know, a 22 they're no match for a 22.
Right.
So you just get a good shot on him, and he's
you
he's
shoot
done
him
for-
in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I ended up shooting that one 3 times, I think. I don't know. We pulled him up in the boat, and he was still moving around, and
Growling.
yeah. And so even 30 minutes after we left that spot, he's still moving around. It's the weird
my
feeling,
goodness.
you know, to have a gator flop its tail when you know, especially with his mouth that big. But just some of those moments, right, that you've seen stuff like that you'd never seen before, or even holding on to that line and feeling it pull back, knowing that, you know, it's that split second that something bad could happen.
Oh, for sure.
And it was quite
That's
a rush.
got to be a rush.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
So my goal now is
So what's the biggest gator you've killed?
11 foot.
11 foot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we shot. I don't
And
know how many we
what's
shot.
the biggest she's killed?
10-2.
10.
Yeah.
I got this year though.
Yeah.
So then it changed.
You're going to get a bigger one this year.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
going for a
dude.
14 footer.
We'll
Woo,
see.
14 footer.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a lot of fun.
Man, I
And,
wish I had this set up for 3 people because we'd have a lot of fun right now. I could tell. But we'll make that
she's been
happen
on a lot
eventually.
of great adventures. I forgot where I was going to go with that, but we have been on a lot of great adventures. Amber's full of all kinds of good information, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, hey, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming on. Love hearing your memories and your stories. And
I think we've hit the edge, and I think I could go on forever.
that's what I say. I think there's so much more we could talk about for sure. Maybe we'll get you back up here
Yeah.
again.
Awesome.
I want to get your wife up here, your beautiful wife up here next time, and
Yeah.
talk to her and hear some of her stories.
Next time we'll have to plan to bring some of the maybe a couple of these bucks that we'll have the
Yeah.
sheds to look at too.
Yeah, I'll do her hopefully soon if we can work that out. And then next time I'll have it set up where all 3 of us can sit here
Awesome,
and,
that'd be
and do
cool.
it, man. That'd be super cool, I think.
Yeah, this is our second time to do this. We did the first one we did was in Louisiana.
It was in Natchez.
Yeah.
actually.
It was what was the name of his stuff?
Redneck Adventures.
Redneck Adventures. Yeah, we had a fun time doing that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy Aldridge.
Yep, I think I've heard of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, well, hey, appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate your time, and like I said, all your memories and stories, man. Those are some awesome,
Thank you.
awesome memories there. I know, and I know you're just full of nothing but stories and stuff, man. And I'm excited to see what you guys do next because I know there's another adventure right over the horizon, you know. So
Yeah, I'm thinking our next one. We have a couple shows to do, but our next one is going to be our next good one. Is we're planning to hit Corpus Christi. We have a spot down there, and we're planning to head down there for a while and maybe do some fishing in the Gulf, and then we'll be off to the gator hunting. So
yeah, I can't wait to hear about that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it should
stay
be a
in touch
blast.
if that's cool with you.
Oh,
'cause I
no,
want to hear
that'd be
about
awesome.
that. Now, you guys said you do some southern shows. Will you guys be at the World Deer Expo,
no, that was
Okay.
in Pennsylvania.
Alabama?
It's in Alabama. Yeah.
It's in July.
We haven't done that one. It's usually the weekend before the Mississippi Wildlife Extravaganza.
You know, it's funny. This whole, you think one show here, one show there, and they're not tied together in any way. But they're for the most part not. But there's a lot of animosity there to where my show is better than your show.
Yes.
And all that's going on behind the scenes stuff that you don't know anything about, and you can't do my show and do his show too type stuff. And
Isn't that ridiculous
Well,
stuff, though,
we're kinda
man?
close to each other, so like we're committed to Mississippi Wildlife Extravaganza.
Oh, and-
'cause they're
yeah, and
personal
that's
friends
been a
of
really
ours
good
and
show
they've
for us.
Really helped us out a lot. So great people.
yeah, the Mississippi Wildlife Extravaganza has been, I don't know, I've had a lot of fun. It's probably more fun at some of the other shows, but this one is just good from start to finish. And I don't know, they've been really good to us there.
Yeah. And that makes a difference. And like she was saying, I know that having that personal relationship with certain people,
Yeah.
I mean, you just want to do their show because you're friends with them and you want to support
Yeah.
them. You know what I mean?
Russ,
So,
just like we'll always do Show Me Whitetails.
Yeah, Russ is
a
because
great
I just
guy.
love Russ.
You're right.
I'm like that, the Mobile Hunters Expo and stuff. We
Mm-hmm.
we do both their shows and absolutely love them. And we've gotten to become friends with so many other vendors and stuff there. It's awesome.
We have done a bunch of shows and we've been turned down a bunch of times too. And I myself, being a deer hunter, if I'm wanting to go to a deer specific show, that's what I want to see is some deer.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see all farm raised animals. I want to see some deer, and I think we fit in every single one of them. I think.
How can you not?
Yeah, and it hasn't been as easy as you would think because you know, it just hasn't been. You would think it would be more, but I don't know. I haven't had anyone complain that they wouldn't have had us again.
Yeah, for sure. I
Not
mean,
even one.
Especially a hunting show. I mean, that's what you guys do.
We are the perfect representation of the white.
Yeah. You know, when we did the Mississippi Wildlife Extravaganza for the first time, they looked at my Facebook page and we didn't have very many followers back then. They're like, "Well, you don't have very many followers." I said, I told them, we don't have very many followers, but we represent the whitetail deer as well as anyone can.
Yeah,
And of
100%.
course, he hired us.
Yeah, and like you said, anybody that looks at your social media, they're gonna know you guys definitely represent the whitetail. I mean,
I try real hard.
Yeah, and you do a heck of a job of it. So
Thank you.
yeah, but hey, thanks for your time. Appreciate you, man. And it's been an honor just to get to know you and
You
stuff.
too.
And I've really enjoyed it. So until next time, when we get her on here, we'll see you then.
No doubt.
But everyone else watching, thanks for watching. Thanks for checking us out. Go to Wards Whitetails on Facebook. Give them a follow and check them out, man. And as always, blend better, hunt harder.
Every season brings us back for more. It's blood trails and bucktails round the fire where the whiskey sails. Every hunt's a story, every shot's a chance. What's your story to tell?